So the way we've learned to choose in this world is to always look at what's the right choice and what is the wrong choice. So what this requires is a constant thinking, figuring out, computing, creating conclusions. And where do you do this other than up here in your mind? And the funny thing is, in those situations, many people go and get frustrated. They, create lack. They create lack of awareness, lack of information, a lot of frustration, a lot of I have no idea what I want, what I should choose, because it's always about trying to find the right choice and trying to avoid the wrong choice. So with this different element of knowing comes in a whole new world of possibilities. And you look at those choices and go, if I choose this, what do I know about it? What will this choice create for my future? Will it do like this? Will it expand my life? Or will it do more like this? Will it contract my life? And you, in this situation, don't have to figure out. You just go and ask the question, what will this choice create? And then the interesting element comes in awareness. Most people have learned the rightness of thinking and of computing. And if you don't compute, you can't choose. Right? So what if every choice you make actually creates your future? And creates a future that works for you? Works for you is, again, being pragmatic. What if you created a future that is pragmatic, that works for you? Where you create a world that works for you? Like, how much have you spent your whole life fighting against this world? Or suffering this world? What if now is the time to create a world that works for you? Are you willing to employ this reality for you? So when you're being pragmatic, when you do what works, you make this whole world work for you. You have a mega employee. So many people live somebody else's life. They might live the perfect life of their parents' fantasies of what's good and right for them. Or they might live the life that their parents never had. Or they might live or try to create a life that fits the magazine or any other standard. That creates so much stress. If you don't choose, and if you're not clear on what works for you, you have a great chance of losing yourself in somebody else's reality. So the invitation here is to find out what works for you. And what works for you is where you start to ask yourself, okay, so what choices in my life can I make that make my heart sing, that make me happy? Scan through your life and look, what choices have I made already that worked for me? And look at, did you have support all the time from your surrounding, from the people around you? Like when you made a choice that truly worked for you, that truly made this to your life, expanded your life. Did you always have people around you who went, yay, good on you, go for it? Or did in those situations, most of the people around you actually go, oh, this is not a smart choice. Really? You're gonna choose this? You're gonna get together with this person? Or you're gonna leave this job? Or you're gonna take that job? You're gonna move to another country? Are you crazy? You're gonna leave everything that's so right? So how many times in your life have you had situations where you did something or were about to do something that made this to you, that expanded your life, or you could see and perceive a future that would be created if you choose that, and then you maybe have listened to other people and made their judgments more valuable than what you know, or maybe you have chosen that anyway despite of other people's judgments, and you saw how that expanded your life. Whatever it is, this is the point we can choose. Is now the day, is today the day where I start to trust what I know, where I start to know what I know despite of what anybody else's points of view are. This is the invitation where you start to listen to that, and that's called knowing. That's your awareness. And that's where you start to be pragmatic rather than dramatic. Pragmatic is where your life starts to work. You know what works for you. Dramatic is where you constantly cut off your knowing and slide into everybody else's points of view and into that rightness of limitation. With your wow awareness that I have the choice to acknowledge myself. I can actually acknowledge myself, and it's a lie that I can. Then this freedom and this space showed up for you, and you showed it so beautiful with your body. You're like, and the thing that you talked yesterday about, you know, the looking for the, you know, the ideal. How much was that going beyond even something even greater than the greatest ideal? The freedom of being you and acknowledging you. Yeah, it's really, really good. So what if you could let go of the celebration of your limitations in favor of the celebrations of your possibilities? What if the things that you've always decided are so wrong about you, so different, so weird, so crazy, what if you discovered the strongness in that? So what possibilities are in that terrible wrongness of you, in those things that you never wanted anybody to know, in those dark, deep secrets that are so terrible about you? What is the possibility there? What is actually the capacity, the potency there that you can use to create your life? When I work with people who have been diagnosed in whatever way, there's so many diagnoses out there. It's a big book, and it keeps changing all the time. With people who come with this kind of answer being given to them, now you have this diagnosis, they often take this as a form of answer to why they've been suffering. And then, you know, they take this diagnosis and they go home and go, okay, so at least I have an explanation now, and okay, this is who I am. So they take this as an explanation, as a definition of who they are. And then they say, okay, my name is, and I have this and this diagnosis. So it becomes part of who they are. So what I've been discovering working with people with all kinds of different diagnoses is that every time they make something and make it to who they are as a definition of who they are, I am, or this is what I have, is that they cut off a big part of who they truly are. They, in that moment, when they get that diagnosis, they stop asking questions in favor of the answer that they just got delivered, which is actually a big pity, because they are buying the point of view that, okay, I am handicapped, I am disabled in a mental way or in a psychological way, and they stop asking questions. So wait a second, that thing that's called depression, anxiety, and so on, ADHD, autism, what is it actually? What is this thing that's just been handed to me? And nobody actually, or not many people yet, are asking, what is the possibility in that I haven't discovered yet? Okay, so everything that is, everything that doesn't allow that, and everywhere you'd rather fight against than receive for you, will you please destroy and uncreate it? Yes. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay. Yeah? So, how hard are you working? Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. So that is just, that's the soundtrack of an awareness we're just having here. This is awareness in motion. Like, yeah. That's brilliant. Like, that's brilliantly put. I mean, no word can top that. You just, like, do you get how that energy thing works? So if we would do psychology here and try, well, can you put words to this? No, I can't. There are no words that match that energy. It's like blah, blah, blah. But if someone tries to force you to put words on it, what has to happen is it gets less again. It doesn't acknowledge what you just had as an awareness, which is the vast amount of energy you've been using against you by working too hard, by working harder than you have to. So the invitation here is to ask, especially those things that seem absolutely hopeless, the most determined, this is the way it is and there's nothing else beyond it. Whenever you have something like this in your world, this is the best place to start a question, which is, okay, so this answer, what is it actually? This thing I call anxiety that keeps troubling me, what is it actually? And patient after patient, that's how they call it in mental health, have been discovering the greatness, the potency, the strongness in that wrongness, which is an absolute enormous beauty. So what is the difference here? Well, so in traditional psychology, or in the way this reality works, there's always a cause. There's always a cause to a certain problem. There's always a cause to why am I having this? Oh, maybe it's my childhood, it's my mother. The mother is usually the primary suspect. So if your mother, that's the way the world is. What else is possible? And so you look for causes. And the thing is that most people are getting lost in this constant search for causes. And you can actually call this a causal incarceration. You throw yourself into the prison every time you're looking for a cause. Because how many causes have you been looking for and found, and does this ever change anything? Or are you finding new causes and new problems and just keeps on going and going and going and going and going? So what if you stop looking at causes and ask, okay, no matter what is here presented to me as a wrongness, what choice do I have to go beyond it? What capacities are hiding here? And I could talk about this for a long, long time, because every single diagnosis, if we just talk about diagnosis, holds a capacity. So we talked about awareness before. So I just want to point that out. So you get, okay, in this reality, people would try to make you put words on it. Use your words, they say in psychology. It's like, yeah, but they're actually, 99% of the things that there are no words for. It's like, wow sums it up most of the time, and backwards, wow again. This is when you're having an awareness. That's it. You're like, so, but imagine someone forcing you to put words on it. Everything that is, your vast amount of awareness has to be conceptualized into something that it actually isn't. And you're buying a lie again. Everything that is, everybody you've been forcing yourself or been forced to put words on your awareness, to conceptualize your awareness. Will you please destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everywhere you've been told or bought the point of view that you're stupid for not having words, will you please destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. It's actually the other way around. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. That awareness is extremely intelligent. That is more than most people even can handle. Like what you just had as a aha moment. Whoa, wow, that energy I've been using, and that is an awareness that goes beyond your mind. Because your mind goes, what? Say what? But that soundtrack, we have a new language. Language of awareness. Wow! Backwards, wow! No translation needed. See how easy. So I've been working with a gentleman who has been suffering from anxiety for a couple of months. And he said his relationship just started to go down the hill because he couldn't be present with his girl, he couldn't be there for her, and he just tried to cut his connection off to the world to deal with this terrible anxiety and panic. So he came to me and we started to work, and I started to ask some questions and asked him, so what is that terrible anxiety, that thing where you shut yourself off from the world? What is it actually you're perceiving here? What are you aware of? What information is being presented to you that you haven't acknowledged? So the day after, he calls me and he says, this is the weirdest thing. I was actually on my way to just stay at the hotel in town, but something told me to drive home. And so I drove home and I called my wife and she said she's not at home. So I'm like, okay. So he went into the house and he discovered his wife with another man. And he said in that moment, his whole anxiety ceased to exist. And he realized, this is what I've been sensing the whole time. I've been sensing something being off. I've been sensing something going on here. I didn't have the information to back it up. I didn't have the cognitive backup for what I was sensing, but I knew there was something off. And instead of, he could have in that moment asked, as soon as that sensation of anxiety came up, he could have asked, what is it that I'm aware of? And he probably very soon would have found out, even sooner. But he went into a conclusion and a judgment of, oh, there's something wrong with me, I'm having an anxiety attack, and he labeled it. And so this actually made it worse, and had it take longer than it would have had to take if he from the beginning would have asked, what is that thing that I'm aware of? What is off here? And I love this story because it's so obvious how this mechanism of this whole thing with mental illness actually works. There is something you're sensing, something you're aware of. You're way more aware than you have given yourself credit for. You sense what's going on around you. You not only sense what's going on in your body and your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, you sense the world. You're aware of what's going on in the people around you, what they feel, what they think, what their emotions are. You actually sense that. And how many times are you confusing what's going on around you, in the world around you, with the people around you, with yourself? What if you actually ask, this craziness that I'm totally buying as mine, is this all of it really mine? How much of that is actually what's going on around me? 99% of the change is actually the awareness. So again, in psychology we've learned you have to, okay, now you have this thing of, oh, I know what I've been creating is a problem. Get the energy. It's actually not knowing, that's thinking, and that's a conclusion. And then, now I need to find a solution. I need to work hard at changing it. Da-da-da, Bob the Builder. So this is the detour. Consciousness is the detour, always. It's the shortcut. Consciousness is the shortcut to greater possibilities. That was the shortcut. Just the awareness of, oh, this is what I've been doing to myself. And that awareness alone already changed you onto a different track for creating your future. Awareness comes in so many different ways. Your body might have an awareness, there might be information coming into a world, but whatever it is, that information will bring you forward, will help you to move on, rather than having this detrimental stop of the conclusions of, oh my God, I'm sick, I'm this and that. So the invitation here, if I summarize it, is stop judging. Stop judging that there's something wrong with you. Ask, what's right about me that I'm not getting? And what if those awarenesses no longer have to be a curse against you? No longer have to be something of, oh, I'd rather think and conclude and then be aware. What if those awarenesses can actually be a contribution to you, a gift to you that expand your life?